I had lived as a monk for 3 years. I had been part of the Hare Krishna movement for more than 11 years, but my spiritual awakening really came when I left all of this behind. When I let go of all of these temporary identities, I had the most powerful spiritual experience in my life. And all of this unfolded in 2023. I was really disillusioned at this point, and although, I live here close to a very wonderful Nrsimhadev temple, and it's really a beautiful community that I hold closely to my heart, on a larger scale, that spiritual community that I had been connected to, the Hare Krishna movement, really left me in a very confused and a little bit of a heartbroken state. Because some of the leaders and teachers that I had admired had left the path or had done certain things that really were not sitting right with me. And I was really wondering, is there still a place for me in this movement? Is there still a place for me in spiritual life at all? Because I felt the more I went into spiritual life, the more I went away from my human side. And that caused me to feel really like somewhat depressed, because the human side of me wanted to live, wanted to come out. And if I just focused on my human self and my human side, then my spiritual life, my spiritual side was suffering so much. So I was constantly torn apart between these two worlds, the spiritual world on one hand and then the material world on the other hand. And I just could not bring them together somehow. It was impossible for me. So on that particular day, when I had a very powerful spiritual experience, I went into the forest and I was like, I'm done. I don't even want to be a spiritual person anymore. I don't want to be a spiritual teacher. I don't want to give classes anymore. I don't even want to be a coach anymore, a healer. I don't want any of this because it's not me, because my heart isn't fully there. I'm not experiencing that love inside of my heart. I'm not experiencing that spiritual happiness. So as I was going into the forest, I was doing mantra meditation, I felt how all of these different identities that I had so carefully cultivated over so many years were just falling away from me, one after another. Simon, the spiritual teacher, Simon, who has a spiritual name, Sri Gaurangadas, that is a priest in the temple, all of these identities were falling away. Simon, the yoga and meditation teacher, the coach, the healer, even the husband, the musician, all the different sides of me were just falling away. One after the other, they were just falling away. And as this was happening, what was left felt very vulnerable. At the same time, I felt how my heart was opening more and more and more and more. And the bliss that I was experiencing at this time was getting more and more and more. And I started to feel God more closely than I had ever felt Him before. It was really so beautiful that the more I let go of any of my identities, the more I started to experience God. And I still remember this experience, it was incredible. I just felt myself to be like a tiny little particle of a huge power, of an unlimited, infinite power. And I was a little particle of that. And then, in the eye of my mind, I had a vision of Vishnu. Vishnu, you could say it's like a Hindu god who is the maintainer of the universe. And I had a vision of that form of the divine, and I felt like I was really part of Him. And He was, in that vision, giving me this message that I am not part of any religion, of any sect, of any community, or of any institution. You will always find me where your heart is at. More or less, the exact message, I've written it down, I keep it for myself, but that was the essence of that. And then at the same time, I had a vision of the Hare Krishna founder that started the very movement. And I had really felt very disconnected from him because I couldn't really make sense of all of his teachings anymore. And he appeared to me and he told me, I only came to help people to love God. That is the only reason why I came to this earth to help people to love God. Wow. When I felt this in my heart, when I felt him appearing, I felt so close, I felt so connected, and I felt that all of these different things that were there of that community, that you had to dress in a certain way, that you had to have a haircut in a certain way, that you had to speak in a certain way, do a particular type of service, all of these things were falling away from me. And I felt like, yes, I am still at home here because it is my genuine desire to love God. That is the first part of the story. However, in the end, I did decide to leave the Hare Krishna movement, not the teachers that I have been connected to, not my connection to the founder of that movement, or even the person that initiated me into this lineage. I feel so much gratitude and appreciation and love for everything that they have given to me. But something unfolded to me. And actually all of this started when a shalakram came to me. Shalakram is a sacred stone that represents the divine, that is literally non-different from the divine. And that shalakram came to me in the end of 2022. And when that shalakram came, my entire life was turned upside down. People were taken away from me, things were taken away from me. It was incredible. It was very intense, but I could feel some spiritual evolution was finally unfolding again. So then I decided, just after that experience, I decided that I want to travel again. I want to go to India. I want to start again all over and like look at everything with an open mind. So in October 2023, my wife and I, we left to India. And we didn't go to Vrindavan, which is the place where Vaishnavas or Bhakti Yogis usually go. We went to Rishikesh. And in Rishikesh, we had such a wonderful time. Like, I was very open to explore. I felt some connection to Shiva. I felt some connection to Devi. All of these things that I had before discriminated or rejected based on my own faith, I was just open for them because I was experiencing them. It was a very genuine thing. And something was pulling me towards a more universal way of looking at spiritual life. But the true spiritual awakening came for me when I went to Sri Lanka. And actually, me and my wife, we had felt a little bit guilty for going to Sri Lanka because we didn't go to be with my spiritual teacher. We didn't go to a holy place. We went to be in Sri Lanka away from any temple, although there are a lot of Buddhist temples, but away from any temple or community that we know. So we went to Sri Lanka, and there I had the most powerful spiritual experience that I ever had in my life. And it didn't come while I was doing meditation, while I was studying ancient texts. I was even not praying. I was literally just lying on my bed. It was late at evening. It was 10 o'clock. And I started to feel a little bit dizzy. I started to feel a little like, wow, I feel a little unwell. So I was just lying down on the bed. And suddenly, you know, when you have a surgery, you get this thing that you lose conscious so they can do the surgery. This is how I started to feel. I started to feel like I was slowly losing my consciousness. And I was getting a little bit scared. What's happening? Maybe I'm dehydrated. Maybe something is wrong. But I was perfectly healthy before. But I started to feel I was slowly losing my consciousness. But at the same time, something started to open up in my heart. And then I had a vision of Lord Shiva. And Shiva told me, beg. Become a beggar. Beg for that divine love. Beg for bhakti right now. And I was there and feeling like I can't beg. I cannot genuinely beg from my heart. I don't even have a desire for that pure love. And then I had a vision of Sri Radha. And then I had such a beautiful experience with the Lord of my heart. It was incredible. I was like in another dimension. And I looked in his eyes and he looked into my eyes. And it was so intense. And it was so beautiful that I can't even put it into words, and I don't even want to put it into words. And I feel I already overshared by saying what I just said, so I don't even know if I'm going to upload this. But it was such an intense and powerful and beautiful experience of the divine that the love and the bliss and the joy that I experienced in this moment, and the relationship that I experienced at this moment with the Lord of my heart, it was beyond anything I had ever experienced. And actually, while I was in this experience, I still had some little awareness of my, actually had no awareness of my body, but then at some point it started to fade away. And I came all back into my body, into myself. And at that moment, my wife came in, and she was shocked to see me in this state because, you know, I looked a little bit crazy. And she's like, but she could see that it was a spiritual experience. So she said, don't leave me now. And she was getting really scared. And I was just lying there and feeling so blissful and feeling so happy. And I couldn't even speak. And then after some time, you know, it faded away. And I was coming back to myself, and I was like, what the hell just happened? What the hell just happened? I'm not in Vrindavan. I was not chanting. I was not studying any book, and I just had the most powerful spiritual experience of my life. What is going on? So then I was up all night writing all of this down, what I had experienced, what I had felt, and I realized, yes, this path of bhakti is my path, because I had developed some doubts over the time, if this is really my path, because I want to be open-minded. I want to embrace all the different traditions and paths. And the answer was yes, this is my path. And it was very, very beautiful. At the same time, it was confusing because it was a little bit different than I had anticipated to experience God. It was very different maybe from what I had read and studied and heard to some extent. And actually after that experience, I really freaked out. For like a good week, I was trying everything I could to sabotage myself. I got so scared because, you know, that experience was so incredibly intense, and it was so much beyond the mind and my identity. I was really in that experience, I was completely somewhere else. Like it had nothing to do with anything that was part of me as a human being. So it was really scary for my mind. It was so scary. And also I was thinking, I'm going crazy. Now I'm going crazy. Because I'm not pure, I'm not a pure person. I can see all of these material desires in my heart. I know I'm very far from any genuine spiritual realization and enlightenment. Why did I have this experience? I should not have had this experience. Because if I look at, you know, the Hare Krishna movement that I was part of, according to that, I should not have experienced that. Because I'm not pure, because I'm full of material desires, because I did not chant, because I didn't do anything, and it just randomly happened. So it got me into a little crisis, it got me into a little, confusion, and I was very fearful and scared, but then slowly I started to come back to myself again. And I had more spiritual experiences. But these spiritual experiences, and I think I mentioned them in some other videos, were more like experiencing God in everything. In nature, in other people, in my own heart. I started to have different spiritual experiences that just showed me that God is everywhere, yet He also exists in a form, and He exists in my heart too. And all of this unfolded until this point now where I'm speaking to you, where I realized if I want to move forward on my spiritual journey, I need to let go of all of these different identities that I have given myself from the past. And one of these identities is being part of the Hare Krishna movement. I'm still a friend of the Hare Krishna movement. I'm still, with all of my heart, deeply grateful and appreciating all the different people that were on this path with me. But I feel right now in my spiritual life to move forward, to let go of all that guilt and shame that I struggled with for so many years, to let go of that understanding that this human body is something I might need to reject, or that this world is something that I might need to reject. I need to let go now of this identity. Because I realized that this world here that we live in, this is the spiritual world, this is the kingdom of God. But it depends on our vision and our consciousness. And God reveals himself to us according to his own will and grace. There's nothing that we can do to achieve God. God reveals himself according to his own will. And to deepen that journey for myself, to deepen that journey of bhakti, to go deeper into this, I feel I need to let go of that identity. It's really something that isn't easy for me, but it is very important for me. And I hope that by sharing some of these stories and by sharing some of these experiences, you understand that this comes from a genuine place of wanting more spiritual consciousness, of wanting to go deeper. And right now, I can't do that while holding on to an identity that doesn't fit to me anymore. And I just want to make this very clear. Even today, I'm very aware that I have so many material desires, that I have so many shortcomings, that I struggle to even get up early in the morning, that I struggle with so many basic spiritual things. But still, I can't deny the calling of my heart. And I need to follow this calling of my heart because I had to make a choice. Do I follow this calling of my heart, or do I conceptualize, rationalize everything now with my mind that has happened? No, I need to follow this calling with my heart, even if it comes as great sacrifice, even if it comes at great costs. I need to follow this call. It's not that I think that, I'm something better, so therefore I need to leave the Hare Krishna movement. It is that I don't feel that I fit into this anymore. I can't be part of this and at the same time evolve as a human being and as a spiritual being. And this is my truth. This is not your truth. This is my truth. This is what I have experienced for myself. Again, I'm very, very grateful for everything that I've received, but I need to follow this call that I have in my heart now in my life. This is the time where I need to follow this call no matter what it means. And therefore, this choice to leave the Hare Krishna movement. All the very best to you.